Hey guys, welcome to the grind. My name is Ark, and I have the second build for you today for the Gauntlet. Now, this build is going to be a Toxic Rain champion, and this build is actually pretty tanky, as you would imagine. This is the second build that I would personally pick for the Gauntlet, and that's because of its high survivability, safe play style, and playthrough ability through the campaign as well as through most mapping scenarios. If you want to get to level 90 fairly easily, this will probably be the build for you. You should be able to just map not carefree, but pretty as close to carefree as you could in a Gauntlet. Once you get to that point with this build, it should easily clear maps and everything else, and I will show you build now. Let's look at this passive tree. So again, with this character, I only played the beginning. I think I got up to Act 3 with this character, and this is the path that I took. So I came down through the starting nodes here, grabbing that evasion in life, and then taking Art of the Gladiator over to here, getting the damage over time, and then grabbing this field duration, totem placement, life, but I grabbed the life first, then I grabbed the totem placement, and I grabbed Avatar of the Hunt. And we're using Caustic Arrow to level up. Personally, I think that Caustic Arrow is the safest way to level in the beginning in the Gauntlet. The damage is consistent. You don't have to be pinpoint with it. It's not like mines to where you need everything to go off in the chain with the Stormblast mine for the damage to really become consecutive. It's just the easiest way if you're not so mechanically advanced that you are doing this like a regular speedrunner or like a professional speedrun player like Tai Killer or anyone else. That this is going to be a very safe way for you to play and still maintain enough speed to where you might not keep up with them 100%, but you'll be close. Let's go over the rest of the tree. Like I said, I only got to Act 3. The tree is pretty straightforward here, but there are a few things and nuances in this tree that are different than most champions. As you can see, this is a dodge character as well. So you're looking at a 70% chance attack dodge chance and 60% for spell dodge chance. That's very high for most champions, and it will actually make this character much tankier, and you are grabbing Wind Dancer as well. So posting a nice 23,000 evasion in this tree is pretty great. Not to mention you have permanent Fortify as well from being a champion. Now that with also the Adrenaline is going to be amazing. I mean, Adrenaline giving you recovering 25% of your life when you go below half life is going to be ridiculous. That is such a nice buffer of survivability that it's just going to help so much with all that. Not to mention you have Intimidated, so enemies are taking more damage, and then we take the Taunt as well, so get another reduced damage taken if the enemy has been taunted recently. They will be. So, as you can see, you take Acrobatics and Phase Acrobatics. Don't have too much damage nodes in the tree, but the ones you get are good. So, as you can see, you're getting 30% increased damage over time with bow skills, another 24% increased damage over time with bow skills. You have the 22% increased chaos damage, so you're getting a little bit here and there, plus you grab half of the actual bow wheel here. So overall you're going to have decent damage. As you can see, the dot damage about 500k, which is okay, but let's go into the skills and I'll show you why that 500k is actually much better than it looks. And that is because you're also running Toxic Rain totems. So Toxic Rain totems as well. You have 4 totems, so you are able to really overlap all of those spores and really maximize the amount of damage. Not to mention you are attacking 4.2 times a second. You are really maximizing this as high as you possibly can. this build, and everything that you need is not too crazy, and we'll go over the items in a second. Then you have your regular Toxic Rain as well. Both these and the Ballista Totems are very similar, as you can see, and so you don't need the Empower level 4. These are obviously things that you can switch around as you go, but Toxic Rain, Ballista Totem, Swift Affliction, Vicious Projectiles, Empower, and Void Manipulation. You can switch out that Empower for an Efficacy, and it's about the same damage. Then you're going to have Toxic Rain, Vicious Projectiles, Void Manipulation, Swift Affliction, Withering Touch, and Efficacy. And that is the damage you're seeing here now. As you can see, it's almost 1.1 million for the self-cast Toxic Rain. Then go over to Vitality, Malevolence, Enlighten, and Flesh and Stone. So you will need a level 4 Enlighten to make all of these fit, but realistically you can drop Vitality. So don't feel like you need to have Vitality. You do not. It's something you can definitely balance this degen very, very easily, so don't think that you need this. Just by having a level, I'm pretty sure, 5 Vitality, you now have enough mana and you're almost balancing. We'll need to figure out how to play with this a little bit, but this is just what I have right now. Can't take these off. All these things should be doable within the Gauntlet. It may take you a little bit more time to get to here, but these are just things for you to look at and see what works best for your build. So then we go here, we got Despair, Second Wind, Enduring Cry, and Flame Dash. Enduring Cry for just that extra boost in case you are going to die. You can get your life back rather quickly. Withering Step, cast when damage taken, Steel Skin, and Blood Rage. And then we're going to jump over. Val Haste, great to have. It just gives you that extra movement speed and attack speed, and that will really help boost out the damage against bosses. Let's move over to items now. I switched out to a Quill Rain, the bow that he had here previously, and I will be posting the person's build in the description below. It's actually called the Toxic Tank build, and I will be posting that below. I'm sorry I don't remember the gentleman's name at the time, but it will be in the description below. Thanks so much for this build, brother. This thing is pretty good overall. I did change very minimal things about it just to make it a little bit more Gauntlet friendly, but overall this build is a lot of fun. So let's continue on. I grabbed a Quill Rain so you can get that attack rate up. Gets it to about 8 times per second, which is pretty great. He has some pretty good damage over here. Some pretty good items for damage over here. This is great. Quiver, Hunter Quiver with damage over time. Should be able to get this pretty easily with just getting the quiver and then fossil crafting. This is not a crazy quiver that you could not make fossil crafting. Then got some evasion. This helm, basic helm, lightning, res, max life, and the great thing about the helm with the Crusader enchant is you can get that increased effect to 4 to 5. Now it may be hard to get this early on, but you should be able to get this as long as you understand how to craft. Then we got our chest. This is definitely something that life, res, all the basics is what you really want to get for sure with this type of character, so don't feel like you need to get certain things. And besides those, all these are just extras on top of that that are going to really push the character to the next level. Then we got Elder Gloves, and all these are pretty good. We're going to move on to the boots, and I actually just took the amulet off because one of the amulets we had here pretty juicy, but let's just put on this one. This is something you'd easily expect to have in there, and still, even with this, still have pretty good things. Now you can see that you do need 9 strength still. It's very easy to get. And that is probably the only downside to this build compared to the Lightning Strike Raider, to be honest. The survivability on this build is going to be amazing. I mean, you don't really ever have to be close to anything. You can just constantly be casting, running, and throwing down totems, which are going to put a line of defense between you and the enemies. But the only thing that I would say is, I guess, kind of a little bit of a disadvantage compared to the Lightning Strike Raider is the fact that you are stat starved. You will need stats on gear to get the strength you need for this build, but it's nothing so detrimental that I would say it makes this build not worth playing in the Gauntlet. This build will still be absolutely amazing, and if you're trying to level safely, I think this would be the way to go. And a Vermilion Ring, Resin Life, non-channeling skills. So you could get these crafts easy. I'm pretty sure that's not even the Elrion craft, actually. You sure? So you get that fairly easily. And then a Stygian Vice, crafted strength. Like we said, you are strength starved. And just a basic life and res jewel would be good. You could get, this one is actually really good, just to reduce reflected damage, but I mean, you're not really doing fizz, so that's kind of useless for this build. But just any jewel with life and res is going to really do it for you. Then you got your flasks. Whatever you can get on here is going to be good. Obviously, if you can't find a Witchfire or Brew, you can change this out for Basalt Flask. I would probably change it out for a Basalt. People really underestimate the power of flasks in this game, and Basalt is a great way, especially if you're playing, you know, a low physical reduction character. I don't want to say playing an armor character fixes this, because really at the end game it doesn't. Armor really helps with like the tons of small hits, so like for example in ultimatums, those guys that shoot out all the projectiles, like armor would help you a lot with that. So it's a ton of small hits quickly. Those will be reduced a lot by armor. But I would say that a good Basalt Flask later in game when you're dealing with bigger hits, that's going to help you a lot more later on as well. And then just a few jewels, damage over time, life, res, everything like that. Strength is where you can stick this here too, damage over time, damage with bows. And then, like always, if you can get a Corrupted Blood Cannot Be Inflicted on you onto any of the jewels you plan on using, then that's just a bonus. So now I want to go over what I was doing with the character, so let's just jump into the game. So here's the character that I was leveling up. This is the Toxic Rain character. As you can see, I did this as a solo self-found, and this is in like a practice gauntlet actually. So these are just some of the items that I found along the way, but I'm running a Toxic Rain, Vicious Projectiles, and Mirage Archer, and then Ballista Totem, Toxic Rain, and Blind, just for that extra layer of survivability. And then the rest of this gear is pretty much all res, because res is going to be very important, and my res still isn't even capped. I am only in the beginning of Act 3. I probably should have my lightning a little bit higher, but I would like to be sitting around 70 for each one right now, and that's just because I'm running around through the regular campaign at this point. When I do get to bosses, I do switch and cap the res that is specific to that boss. So for Act 1, I would be switching to cold with a little bit of fire. You want cold maxed out, and then in Act 2, you would definitely want to have lightning maxed out. So let's just show you how the build's looking so far. I think it looks pretty strong at the phase, or at the stage that it's in right now. Let's go ahead and go run up here. Right now we're only at the sewers, so we're not extremely far in the game, but this build is pretty fun. And as you can see, I do have steel skin.
I can't do this just yet.
On there as well. And one thing I did throw in for bosses, which I actually think this could be a pretty fun way to play this, especially through the campaign, is throwing in a Corrupting Fever. So, as you can see, this is pretty simple right now. Characters boasting about almost 700, well, boasting 750 life, going on 800. And look, I'm going to pop that Corrupting Fever, and you can see they start to tick up on them there. So that's pretty funny right there, the Corrupting Fever. And as you can see, I'm not really worried about my life, and I let them keep that shrine the entire time as well. So the build's pretty safe. I don't feel really like at any point against regular monsters at this point that I am going to die. The character feels pretty nice overall. So these are my two choices, I believe, for the Gauntlet. I again did play with Caustic Arrow in the beginning with this character as well, and then transferred over to this as soon as I could. I also used I think Puncture Totems is what I was using. I forget what I used for the totems before I switched over to that, but as soon as I could get Toxic Rain, I went right into it with this character as well, just the same way as I did with the Lightning Strike Raider. I switched over to Lightning Strike as soon as I could. It might not be the most efficient way to do it, but I do want to show you that these builds are viable for the Gauntlet. Now again, the hardest part that I've had in the Gauntlet so far is still Brutus, and I have fought Innocence. Innocence is very difficult, but have that portal up so you can avoid all of those small lightning and fireballs that he shoots out. Instead of trying to dodge those, just go to town, come back through, and then wait while you have the invulnerability phase for it to be over and fight him again. The most efficient way that I found to fight him, and I did not fight against him with the Toxic Rain champion, I fought against him only with the Lightning Strike, is Veil Lightning Strike up, phase him, and when he spawns the ads, you build up your 2 charges of Veil Lightning Strike again, wait for him to come out, and hit him again with that. But anyway guys, I hope you liked this video on the second build of the Gauntlet. Since Gauntlet will be starting tomorrow, I will see you guys then. I plan on playing tomorrow and showing you guys how far I make it. So, if you like this video, drop a like, subscribe, hit that bell icon to be notified in the future, and don't forget to keep grinding. See you guys on the next video. Goodbye.